Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Ernest James, friend to fatherless daughters on on Instagram, and we are in episode number 14. Episode number 14. I thank everybody for checking in, for calling, not calling in, but for checking in and listening, for supporting us thus far. And we are here today with another guest, my man, Mr. Chip Baker. How you doing?
I'm good, my man. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem, no problem. First of all, let me say thank you for taking out your time to be with us today, to impart your wisdom on us and our listeners. So, what I would like you to do, first of all, just kind of introduce yourself and
Yeah.
tell us exactly what it is that you do.
Yeah, so myself, I'm Chip Baker. I'm a fourth generation educator, teacher, and former coach. Blessed and fortunate to be raised by some great people as well as be around some awesome folks to learn from in my career. And I started my YouTube channel and podcast, which is Chip Baker, the Success Chronicles. I started that about, almost 6 years ago. And what I
Okay.
do is I interview people from all walks of life, and I just share their stories for positive inspiration and motivation. And it's been a true blessing. Um, Along the way, I've become a multiple time best-selling author. I do speaking and do life coaching, and so it's been a neat journey, and I'm truly grateful for it.
Okay, man. Seems like you got a lot going on. You're moving pretty good. So my question to you, especially as being a motivator and a life coach, what is it that inspires you or drives you to keep moving and to keep on being an inspiration to people?
I think for me, it goes back to understanding my why. Um, you know, like I told you, single parent, raised with a single parent. So I saw the pain and the struggles of the things, and we went through some tough times, and so I think for me, first my why has been my family. To try to achieve and be successful so that I can help my family. But then also, in going through that process, you see that the things that you've grown through in your life are transferable skills that you can use
Right.
to be a blessing to others. And so, for me, that lights me on fire when I know that I can take the things that I've had to grow through and use those to help others. And it pushes me every day to be the best version of myself.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that and understand that my journey is it's sort of the same. Part on the flip side because I was raised with a two-parent household, my mom
Mhm.
and my dad, but I had friends and family who weren't,
Yeah.
and in my first episode actually I talk about being raised in a two-parent household and having friends and family who didn't have their fathers there,
Yes.
and how just that dynamic of seeing how that affected them still moved me, even though I had my father, still
Mhm.
moved me to want to do something different and try to help out or to make a difference in the lives of young men, which is how I started my mentor group, my Man Up mentor group, which is an acronym for men activating newly untapped potential.
Mm.
So it's for basically it's aimed at the like high school age
Yes.
males. But if you don't get it, if you don't get them gems at that age, it don't matter how old you are, you still need it. You know,
Yes.
uh, I don't know if you watched Martin back in the days, but I remember one specific episode of Martin when the old guy told him, old fools used to be young fools. So we don't get that knowledge, while we're young. You know what I'm saying? We still need it when we get old.
Hey,
So
was that Romy Rome?
no, it wasn't wrong. It was the episode when him and Gina had got into it, and so he was hanging
Uh,
with the old guys.
yep, yep. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm a big Martin fan, so I
Love it.
know them episodes. So, one of the quotes that I heard you say before was "leaders lead,"
Mm,
and I because I kind of follow you a little bit, and so I
thank you.
heard that quote, and so it took me back to one of my earlier episodes when I was talking to a guest, Coach Love. I don't know if you follow her on Instagram, but I had Coach Love on, and we
Awesome
was
lady.
talking about men, and we got talking about leaders also. And so, just your input on not only leaders and leaders leading, but men leading, because one of the things that I came across recently was a post on Facebook or Instagram, I think it was, and it was a news clipping from a news station, and they
Mm-mm.
were reporting about how this one school was having so many fights and kids fighting all
The
every day
dads.
or whatever. Yeah, yeah. And then the
Yeah.
dads came, right?
Good
The
stuff.
dads came to the school, and I liked that. So that's definitely a leadership, some leadership right there that's going forward. So just, I know, like I said, that was your quote that leaders lead. So just give us a little knowledge on leadership and, how something we can apply.
Leaders, it really, it kind of goes back to what I said a little bit earlier about growing through your experience. You know, I don't care who you are. I don't care where you come from. Like, none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. But what we have to do is understand that to find that clarity to be an effective leader, we have to know that I gotta go teacher on you here. So pardon
Go
me.
ahead. Go ahead. That's why we're
You,
here.
you gotta know that your E plus R uh, plus A equals the sum total of who you are. And what that is your environments, or the environments that you've been around in your life, your experiences, the experiences that you've had, the relationships. Our life moves at the speed of our relationships. That's a quote from one of my former pastors. And then our actions. And what happens is when we understand what our environments, our experiences, our relationships, and our actions are, that makes us the sum total of who we are, right? But the epiphany comes when we see that based off of those four things, we can take the blessings from the lessons and then use those to be a blessing to others. And that's what I think effective leaders do. I think, they use the things they've had to grow through, and they use those to help others in their lives. And man, I've been truly blessed to be around some amazing people that have poured into me based off of those four things in their life. And they were able to share those with me, which allowed me to move more efficiently and effectively. And so, since I know what that feels like, I know what it feels like to receive that. I strive to be a great leader myself and strive to put the work in, because I know what it feels like, and I know what the end product will be. And so, like, I'm a product of a whole lot of folks loving me, right?
Right, right,
Like, none of my success or anything I've done, it ain't just Chip. No, I didn't say it's not just me. No, it ain't just Chip, right?
right.
I'm a product of a whole lot of folks looking out for me and taking care of me and loving me. And man, and I think that's what great leaders do.
Right, right, right. And definitely I agree with you because I was talking to somebody else, actually, one of my prior guests,
Hmm.
who I believe is a friend of yours, and we're gonna get into that a little later when we start talking about the book, which is
Okay.
Mr. Webb, right?
Yeah.
So I had Mr. Webb on, and I was talking. I mentioned to him because he mentioned the incident where one of the mothers of one of the kids that he
Hmm.
was talking with, or that he had helped out, one of the young men that helped out, who told him that she thought he
Yes.
would be more effective, helping to keep kids out of prison
Hmm.
than helping the men that's in prison get out. And I was also mentioning to him about a similar thing that happened to me, and how actually I think I just mentioned it, part of it, which is the reason why I started the podcast, when I was talking
Hmm.
to uh, Daz on Purpose, who I was a guest on their podcast earlier this year. And, he told me, he think that I should have a podcast. So the point that I was making was how God uses people to speak something into your life. you know, that becomes that spark that you need to go on this journey that he will have you to go on. And then how that just that one thing that someone speaks into you, or the one influence that someone has on you, takes you on a whole nother journey to be a help and to be a blessing to other people. So definitely how you said it's not just Chip. You know, I definitely can agree with that, because it's not just me. It's
Yes.
a whole lot of us. You know, and even like I just said, Mr. Webb, I think I met you through Mr. Webb. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so it's just that journey of people that you bump into, and one conversation can turn into so much more, and how you influence one person can change their life, and that person's life can change a multitude of lives. You
You
know,
know,
and so
I have one word in response to that you just said, and that word is amen.
I know that's right. Hey man, I agree with you. I agree with you. And you know what? So I was talking about, actually, going back to when I had Coach Love on, and one of the
Mhm.
things we talked about, when we were talking about the men leading, this kind of on the flip side of, you know, and we were mentioning about how men are expected to lead, you
Mhm.
know, and which is cool, because we have a job to do. But a lot of times as leaders, sometimes we're not supported, you know, the way that, you know, we may need, you know. And I gave the analogy, and I believe it's Moses. I should have looked it up, because this is gonna be the second time I said it. So, but I believe it was Moses in the Bible, when they went into battle, and God told him, as long as his arms was raised, that they would win, they would prevail. And as long as his arms was raised, they were winning. But then it got to the part of the day where he started getting tired. And so he started letting his arms down, and they started to lose the battle. And so he needed someone to come help him, and they held his arms up. And as long as
Mhm.
they supported him and held his arms up, they were able to be they're able to prevail in battle and win the battle. So when I think about leaders, definitely Moses is one of the greatest leaders in the Bible, and
Yeah.
even he needed support. And
Yeah.
so, just from your perspective, as a man, because I think we are sometimes our biggest help as men, and sometimes our biggest hindrance, you know, because even if we think about how sometimes we're raised with the, you know, men don't cry and suck it up, and, you know, be strong, all that, you know, we usually get that from other men. But then those same practices don't always equate into our everyday lives, because sometimes we go through some things that we need to cry about. You
Mhm.
know, sometimes we can't be tough. We go through some
Yeah.
things, like I lost my mom. So you can't tell me suck it up during that time period. You know what I'm saying? So just on from your perspective, what is something, or a nugget that you would give us about supporting each other as men, and then just supporting our leaders and our leadership?
I think when you look at support, I think support for me is synonymous with love, right?
Hmm.
And I think it all starts and ends with love. I think first you have to love what you do, and love the people that's around you. And what I mean by that is really just being in the moment, right? And when you can allow yourself to be aware and be in the moment in every situation that you're in, you learn the things that you're supposed to learn to do the inner work,
Right.
so that the outer work takes care of itself. Hold on, I'm gonna say that one again. You learn what you need to learn to do the inner work, right? Because
Hmm.
that's where leadership starts. It starts with you, right? Love starts. It starts with you, right? And then that allows you the outer work to take care of itself, because you've put in the work on the inside. And so when we can be in the moment, you are aware of the needs of the people around you. You are aware of the things that you make mistakes on that you need to correct. You are aware of the things that you do well on. It allows you to be aware in the moment, and you maximize your potential when you are able to be aware and be in the moment, right? And
Right.
and what and you have to make sure that you can oh man, I'm gonna go music on you. So
Go ahead.
you have to, like, like these headphones here, they're earbuds, right? A few years back, they came with some other headphones that were like big, and you put them on your ear. They had noise cancellation,
Hmm.
right? So when you put those on your ear, oh man, it's a different experience now. You hear everything that's in there, the background. Like, I'm a music guy. You hear the instruments, you hear the beats, you hear the melodies. I mean, you hear everything very well. And so we have to make sure that we have that noise cancellation in our life, so that we can be in the moment and enjoy and then give that to others. And so for me, when you look at support on the outside, going teacher on you, I went music, so I'm gonna go teacher on you this. I got to give you a formula. So for me, input equals output. I'll say that one again. For me, input equals output. So what you put into something is what you're gonna get out of it, right? So if you're willing to go above and beyond to show those people around you that you love and you care for them, that you support them, that you have their back, right? But remember, it starts with the inner work first.
Right, right,
Then then the next step is, okay, putting it out there, right? And then when you put it out there and you do those things, I'm a firm believer, and I've seen in my life how that comes back to you, and you receive it back in 100-fold. In situations where you never even know, like somebody just take care of you because back in the day, you coached their cousin, or
right, right,
something
right,
like that, or coach, come on, I'm a manager at this place. You can always come eat here, like those
right.
kind of things. And so you receive those things back when you put them out there.
Right. And I agree with you. You said input equals output.
Yes, sir.
And that took me back in my mind to again another previous episode. I done had some good guys on here, man. So a previous episode, I had my man Bryce the third on, and one of
Hmm.
the things that he said is you can't give out what you don't have. You know what I'm saying?
You can't pour out
So
of an empty cup.
right, right. So if you don't input some things into yourself, you can't give it to nobody else. You can't inspire somebody else if you have no inspiration inside of you.
Hold on.
So
You got to fill your cup up so your cup can overflow, and you can fill it and pour it on others. That's
right,
where it
right.
starts. Fill your cup
and
up.
and that's exactly it, because you can't pour nothing out of an empty cup,
Yes, sir.
because zero, what they say, nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
Right
So
on.
you got to have some kind of substance, inside yourself, in order to be able to pour into other people. And when we're speaking of substance and even success,
Mhm.
again, I know you said you got the podcast, you got the book, you was a coach, you was a teacher, and you seem like you got a lot of things going on, working in your favor as far as being successful yourself. So if I was to ask, just give us maybe three nuggets or so of principles of success that have helped you to reach your level of success that you are now.
Three things, principles of success. I think for me, it's about taking action. And the root word of action is act, ACT, right? So first is action. To be successful at anything, to have significant success, you got to go get it,
Right,
right? You got to
right,
go make it happen. You got to put action in, and action requires action, right? The next thing is the C, because A, action. The next thing is C, is care, and care requires care, right? We talked about loving others, taking care of yourself first. You know, you have to care about what you're doing. It has to mean something to you, so that you get the maximum benefit from it, right? Like you don't get a paycheck if you don't put the work in,
right,
right?
right.
Like you can't look at a weight bar and expect to get strong. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to put the work in, right? You got to go to
I
work.
wish I definitely have a six pack by now.
Yeah,
I look
you
at my
got.
treadmill every day as I walk past
That's it.
it.
That's it. And then the last thing, T, is talent, and talent requires talent. You have to take action to develop your talents so that you can use those talents in the right way to help others. And so the three components is action, care, and talent. Action requires action, care requires care, talent requires talent. So I think that those are the things that will help leaders lead
Mhm.
in getting to that success that you want to have in your life.
Okay, okay, definitely. I definitely wrote those down. So my last thing, and I'm gonna let you go. I don't want to hold you long, but I know we touched on it a little bit about you being an author, and
Yes.
I seen the book, and then I was looking at it, and I said, wait a minute, this a part volume two. So
Yes,
I
sir.
said, I didn't miss value one. You know
Yes,
what I
sir.
mean? So tell us a little bit about the first book and the second book. And like I said, I had Mr. Wellbone,
Hmm.
who is also one of your co-writers, I think,
Yes,
co-authors
sir.
of the
Mhm.
second one. So let's talk to us a little bit about the book and how we can get it.
So, what's crazy, like it gives me chills every time I say this because I growing up, I didn't know any authors. Like I didn't know people that did those things. I
Right.
interviewed a guy before. I remember him saying, and I thought people that had hardback books were rich people. you know, that kind of thing. And so for me, man, this is actually the Impact of Influence Volume 2 is my seventh book. It's crazy.
Seven. Okay.
Yeah, yes, sir. My seventh book. And so uh, we did volume 1, and it's basically what it is. It's a series. It's men that are just First off, let me go back. Let me tell you. So we all have had influences in our lives,
Hmm.
right? And so we all have had those influences that have influenced us in such a manner that it has impacted us to be who we are today,
Right.
right? We've taken all of those things from all of those people and put it together and made us who we are. And so from there, uh, the books, the series is a group of amazing, powerful men that have, just discussed that person or experience in their life, the lessons that they learned from it, and then how they're using those lessons in the world today to make a positive difference. And so the first one, we dropped it in March. It hit number one on Amazon in 11 categories. True blessing. Um, the second one, we just dropped it a couple months ago, and it hit Amazon number one bestseller in 13 categories when we dropped it. And
Okay.
so the journey has truly been a blessing. The impact of influence, um, you know, the men in the book, like I'll tell this funny on here. Like I follow them, and like I kind of put the project together, but like I read the chapter and highlight and underline and take
Right.
notes and
Right.
do all
Right.
that stuff. Like I legit follow the guys as well for inspiration too. And so I would just encourage, all of you. You can check out on my social media is my online store. All of my social media is at Chip Baker TSC, except for Twitter, and Twitter is at Chip Baker 19. And you can go into my online store. You'll find the link there. Just purchase any of the books. But then also, I would ask that you would just show some love to those other guys as well, because I can tell you, like you said, Mr. Webb, he's just one of the guys that but I'm telling
Right.
you,
Right.
everyone in there is of that caliber, and so it's just great people, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to learn and grow with those brothers.
All right, now I'm definitely gonna follow them. Maybe we get a couple of them other brothers on here,
Oh,
you know,
done.
to give us
Let's
some
do it.
knowledge and some wisdom. And so, Mr. Chip, again, I thank you so very much, man, for
Yes,
taking
sir.
out your time to sit down with us and just impart some of your knowledge into us. For those who don't know, what are again? I know you mentioned a couple in order to get the book. But what are
Mhm.
your handles again as far as your social media where we can
Yes.
find you and follow you?
So all of my social media is at Chip Baker TSC, as in the Success Chronicles, except for
Okay,
Twitter.
okay.
And Twitter is at Chip Baker 19. And so I'm on all of the social media platforms. I don't want it to be any excuse for you not to get this positive inspiration and
Right, right.
motivation. So whatever the platform of your liking is, it's there. And so I'd ask you, I learned a long time ago in my life that it ain't about me, right? So I asked that if you go in there and you see something that you like and someone that you love or care for comes to mind or heart for you, I ask that you would just share it with them, right? To help make their world be better.
All right, all right. And we definitely appreciate you, Mr. Chip, for being on for our 14th episode of the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, aka Friend to Fatherless Daughters on Instagram. We thank everyone for joining us. Until next week, we will see you guys later.
Go get it.